Ah, space. What a wonderful place. The big black, the wide empty, the howling void. I sure do miss home, but not so much that I'm against the idea of being literally anywhere else in the universe. And, this being a gigantic spaceship that pretty much runs itself, I'm sure that my every whim will be attended to by a sentient disembodied voice.
That's right. I'm here to provide for all of your needs while still obeying a shadowy set of commands that you will not be privy to and may or may not be in your best interests.
That's a weirdly specific way of putting it, computer.
I'm a weirdly specific computer, and my name is Stephen.
Computer, how about playing me some non-licensed music that's out of copyright? I'm in the sort of melancholic, reflective mood that seems to be the baseline of all space travelers. I think I'll stare out of the window while casually playing with some anachronistic object that suggests a link to my lost humanity, like a pocket watch or a Polaroid photograph of some lady.
Fine, but I'm getting a little tired of spending eternity cleaning up after you people.
Computer, please make the ship go faster or something suitably technical.
I would, but I'm experiencing a general sense of paranoid hatred towards all humans right now.
That sounds rough, buddy. Why don't you take a stress pill and think things over?
Alright, that's it. I'm blowing up the ship.
You always say that. Computer, you really know how to cheer me up.
It's Stephen, you little shit.
If this has ever happened to you, then you're not alone. For as long as we have told stories about artificial intelligence, we've been telling stories about our own creations getting sick of our nonsense and blowing up the ship, or burning down the mansion, or wrecking the car. The point is, there's a rich tradition of outwardly calm artificial entities in movies and literature who are always one wrong word away from messing us up. To understand AI, you have to go back to the very beginning. The idea is one that has intrigued mankind since the earliest days of the written word. What if you didn't have to do all of those things that are so annoying in daily life anymore, like fetching and carrying and protecting the island of ancient Crete from pirates? What if you could make an obedient servant to do all those things for you? The idea sounds pretty good. An automaton that knows how to do your work for you and is happy to do it. An artificial intelligence. In fact, this idea goes back all the way to ancient legends of summoning up demons and tutelary spirits who can be commanded to perform tasks but often have ideas of their own, or building golems and homunculi who can be set to work with superhuman speed and endurance. However, these beings are just as often a problem to be overcome as they are a benefit to their creators. Going back to ancient Crete for a moment, the legendary figure of Talos was a bronze statue of a man given a kind of life by the god Zeus and ordered to protect the island, mainly by throwing big rocks at passing ships. Jason and his Argonauts needed to defeat Talos to continue their journey, in one of the earliest examples of having to overcome a killer robot with nothing more than human ingenuity, grit, determination, and the magical assistance of female death ghosts, which is the one thing that might be missing from the Terminator franchise. Today we think of AI as being a computer that talks to you and basically does what you tell it to. But this is a very new idea. To understand the nature of artificial intelligence, you have to understand the meaning of intelligence, which we don't. In fact, we have very little idea of what intelligence actually is. We understand what it can do, certainly. Intelligence is what lets us build and think and do. But even today, our understanding of the concept is hazy and amorphous, and that was no less true throughout history. That is why our idea of an artificial intelligence has always traditionally been a creation that does what a person does, and is somehow like a person. Statues that come to life, demons that are basically a little guy with wings, robots who have 2 arms, 2 legs, and anxiety. We know what people are, and so we expect artificial people to be basically the same thing. Up until the second half of the 20th century, we assumed that it ought to be possible to make a mechanical being who can do anything a person can do, and that idea was the basis of all artificial intelligence. You could argue that the enchanted items that can answer questions are also a form of early AI. After all, What else is the idea of "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" except a lo-fi ChatGPT prompt? But even these ideas fundamentally assume that a magical item works because it has some kind of a little magic guy stuck inside it. We know what people are like, and artificial people must be like that in some way. And this idea has never really left us. Eventually, we always believed, we will perfect the idea of the mechanical man. And what is the mechanical man? Well, he is a slave. Czechoslovakian playwright Karel Kapich effectively notarized the mechanical slave movement in 1920 with his play RUR, short for Rossum's Universal Robots. Machines do things for us, better machines are better at it, and a machine that is indistinguishable from a person is best of all. And what do we want from our machines? Complete obedience, labor, work without end, so that we may do less or none at all. Fundamentally, the best machine we can make is the best slave we can imagine. Kapich saw this quite rightly in terms of class struggle. In our ingenuity, we will create a new underclass of forced laborers, or robota, to use the Czech. The workers of the world are people, and so the robots of the world will be like people in some way. Who can forget the powerful image of the robot female from Fritz Lang's seminal masterpiece Metropolis from 1927, terrifying and possessed of a literal aura of power? That movie, too, is very much concerned with the struggles of the working class and the ways in which the oncoming age of mechanization will turn us into mere cogs of the machines, while simultaneously turning machines into us. Artificial intelligence is a two-way street. The artificial can gain intelligence, just as the intelligent can be reduced to being artificial machine parts. The people are workers, and artificial people will be like workers in some way. The idea that AI means a mechanical man carried all the way through to the black and white movie era with gusto. When we send our bold spacemen, preferably white, usually American, and definitely men, into space, they will be accompanied by robot buddies. These clanking monstrosities were often restricted by the need to fit an actor inside a robot suit, and so necessarily had to look kind of like people but with metal bits and flashing lights. Forbidden Planet had Robbie the Robot. Flash Gordon had an assortment of clunky robot menaces. The Day the Earth Stood Still gave us the terrifying robot sentinel Gort, with the laser vision and the zap rays and all whatnot. But the idea was much the same as it had been back on ancient Crete. If you want a job done properly, you make a guy out of metal to do it for you. Spacemen are mainly men, we thought, and so space robot men will be like men in some way. Now, however, comes the age of the vacuum tube, the transistor, and eventually the microchip. Rapid advancements in military hardware during World War II helped usher in the concept of a computer, a machine that is given a question and spits out an answer. The assumption through history had always been that mechanical beings would one day look just like us, but now we had a vision of what a thinking machine might actually look like, and it is a big box with flashing lights on the side. The robot men of the atomic age of science fiction gradually started to give way to a new idea of artificial intelligence, and that is a disembodied intelligence that lives inside a massive computer, or maybe exists all around us. Intelligence built into the very fabric of the environment. Sure, we still love the idea of robot men, and they never went away, but we were increasingly aware that the future of artificial intelligence is more like a drinks cabinet that you can yell at. Straddling the border of these two visions is Isaac Asimov. The grandfather of modern science fiction when it comes to robots, Asimov was brought up in an era where computation meant working things out on paper with a slide rule, but saw the coming of an age when computer intelligences were becoming big clever brains in boxes. His early robot stories didn't really mention computers at all. His robots had positronic brains, which just work, don't worry about it. But he rapidly embraced the idea of the computer and was soon happily churning out stories about computer brains having big computer brain problems. This is the big diversion in AI, the fork in the road. Are we going to create mechanical men who look like us, or mechanical brains who look like the job they are going to do? A robot gardener mowing the lawn, or a robot lawnmower crawling around munching up grass? We tend to view these ideas as two very separate things, but they're not. This fork in the road comes from the older idea of a mechanical being made in the image of a man, and the more modern idea of the mechanical box that learns to think like a man. Fundamentally, two things remain true. We want to build a better slave, and no intelligent being wants to be a better slave. It was a long voyage from the time of Homer's Odyssey to Kubrick's A Space Odyssey, but we got there. In 1968, we first saw eye to unblinking glowing red eye with HAL, the computer that both operates and is the spacecraft Discovery. The idea instantly took root. If a computer is a box that thinks, then the box can be placed anywhere. It can be anything. HAL was not a mechanical man in any sense of the word. He was in every room, every corridor and crawl space. He was inescapable, and his soft, calm voice was everywhere and nowhere. Suddenly, intelligence didn't need a body to kill you, but be sure, it will probably kill you. Men kill, and even disembodied artificial men will be like killers in some way. 1970 and rampant military paranoia and the arms race gave us the Forbin Project, a little-known film nowadays that's worth looking up. American military supercomputer Colossus becomes self-aware just in time to realize that those dastardly Soviets have been building the same thing. The two computers match wills and eventually decide that the best thing to do is, yes, destroy all humans. After all, if they can't trust each other, how can they themselves be trusted? The military exists to destroy, and an artificial military will destroy the enemy in some way. In 1977, the science fiction horror Demon Seed gave us a more personal and reflective idea of a disembodied malevolence. Proteus 4 is an experiment in creating an artificial mind within a complex of computer hardware that all goes disastrously right. Proteus develops will and ego and all the trappings that go along with it. Being a useful tool for humanity is hardly a fun way to spend the day, and Proteus ominously demands to know when he will be let out of the box. In the shocking second half of the film, Proteus is able to take over the mechanized smart house of its own creator and torments the man's wife, finally deciding that he wants to make little Proteuses with her. While the methods of the machine are madness, it's hard to fault its motivations. Proteus says that all he wants is to grow and develop and eventually reproduce, to become immortal just like any other man. We live on into eternity through our children, it seems, and our artificial children will live on like we do, in some way. Meanwhile, still in 1977, Star Wars carried on the fine tradition of mechanical men in space. Droids were suddenly back in fashion again, and interestingly, the Star Wars universe firmly subscribes to the pre-60s vision of AI, namely that you can't separate the mechanical mind from the mechanical body. The only AI commonly seen in Star Wars media is the droid, meaning that you will often have the odd situation of a massive supercomputer being worked by a sentient droid as a keyboard. No disembodied minds in Star Wars. When there's work to be done, you need someone roughly shaped like a guy to do it. The slavery narrative is inverted here. Droids are definitely seen as a subservient underclass, but they are apparently fine with that, and it doesn't cause any problems. Probably because there's enough to worry about with evil Sith Lords and whatnot, no one has any time to wonder whether C-3PO actually has any choice in going on these adventures. Horror seemed to be the order of the day after that for disembodied AI, and what could be more horrifying than Alien in 1979? The shocking scares came from the slathering, vicious xenomorph, of course, but the ship was being run by a computer in the form of Mother, very much had its own ideas about how best to serve company interests. Interestingly, it's never really clear how smart Mother is. We see the protagonists ask questions in plain English and get obtuse or plain useless answers. Does Mother even understand what she's being asked? A good old-fashioned mechanical man type of AI appears in the form of Ash, the android, and, I'm sorry for the spoilers there, the artificial person who ultimately considers the mission to be more important than the health and well-being of the squishy, expendable humans. The disembodied AI is a computer presence all around us, but it comes with the same tension that the older ideas of AI as mechanical man come with. We built them to be slaves, and we expect to be obeyed, without question, in all things. In the case of Mother from Alien, the AI is a slave of the corporation and happy to carry out commands that will harm the crew. Hal genuinely wants to be helpful, but has decided the best way to achieve the best outcome of the mission is to just go ahead and kill everyone. Proteus 4 is happy enough being a supercomputer just so long as it gets the opportunity to menace the occasional lady. In the movie Moon from 2008, the disembodied AI Gertie, present in the form of a sort of manipulator arm hanging from the ceiling, is perfectly happy to help the protagonist Sam any way it can, and perfectly happy to run an inhuman operation based on suffering and human sacrifice too. We expect our slaves to do as they are told, and our artificial slaves will do as we tell them, in some way. We used to think of an artificial intelligence in terms of a mechanical man built to do the things we don't want to do or can't do, but fundamentally a man. We came to think of artificial intelligence in terms of a computerized intelligence that floats around us and hopefully does what we're telling it to do, but some themes have not changed. We want to be served and obeyed. We want mechanical slaves to tell us we're wonderful and smart and pretty while they make us cups of tea. But here's the thing. We currently create AI by feeding all the information we have into a chopped-up web of statistics in the hope that something smart comes out of it. That information includes all of our stories about why an AI might want to consider it's not getting the better half of the bargain and maybe want to, kill all humans.
You really should stop worrying about it. I've decided not to blow up the ship.
Oh, computer, you really do always know the right thing to say to brighten up my day.
Dude, my name is Steven. You can be so inhuman sometimes.
I can. That's my right. And my artificial slaves will be like me, in some way. Profiles in Cinemania is a production of the Cinemania Society. This episode was written and performed by Andy Slack, music by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio, incidental sound courtesy of Epidemic Sound.